Kanien'kehá, the word of the evening last night at the Golden Age Club. It was the scene of the membership law hearing and proposed amendments. Joe, how did it go?
Well, it was the 14th hearing. Last meeting was the one where it was almost like a bit controversial because there was a move to say, well, we'll accept the word, but I'm not accepting anything less than 47%. And actually, there was kind of like people saying that's not a bad idea. Last night, I think what was really interesting was they really got into a discussion, and we had a couple of the Mohawk speakers who really fleshed it out. And I think that's what we kind of hoped to see was people who actually live the language as opposed to people who, look at words and say, yeah, that seems to make sense. It made all the difference in the world. So what it did was it finally did remove once and for all the concept of blood quantum from the law. It was not in the 2003 law, but because of the definition of great-grandparent, that had been very vague in there, and it was left vague so that the Council of Elders had wiggle room. Now that there's no Council of Elders, then it became apparent that they still needed to define it. I think last night finally put the issue to bed. Not a moment too soon, because the meeting ended right at the time when the consensus was reached. Very clear consensus, and now everybody can go on break.
What was the feeling at the end of the meeting? Must have been elation.
There was actually people clapping at the end. You don't see that very often. And I think what was really good about it, because at the last meeting, we mentioned it was a preliminary consensus, and I think that was the right word to use, because it was not a real consensus. Because when you have 2/3 of the people saying we support it, but others saying I'm dead set against it and I'm not going to accept it. Last night, what you saw was the vast majority of people buying in and actually saying, yep, we can all live with that. And some very strong supporters, others who can live with it. Only one person who said, well, I'm still going to say no.
That hurdle is now crossed. What happens next? I know we're going on summer hiatus for the meetings, but as far as the law and the amendments go?
Well, we still have several sections to go, and we'll announce the agenda as we go along toward, I guess, sometime in September. But at this point, I think it's a well-earned rest. The staff has been available and participating for months at a time now, 10 straight months, lots of meetings. This was the 14th last night. And finally a sense that we got over the hump, and now we can start really addressing some of the other issues. Because when you look at it, the first 14 sections went through, even though it took a while, there was a lot of movement. It moved forward at a decent pace. We're hoping now this this big hurdle has passed, and we'll be able to get these amendments done so that the job of passing it and moving forward will happen sooner rather than later.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, thank you very much.